Alright, team. Thanks for being patient. Just trying to fix some settings. Hi. What's up, y'all? There we go. Oh, that's much better. Much better. There we go. Much better. Very nice. All right, let's get it. So let's just hang out in here for a little bit. Wait for everybody to come on in. Okay, we got it. Let's go. Got the little latency going. Things you love to see. Oh, that's solid. Mic test 1 2 1 2. Owen, you can come in if you want to come in. I'm in call for the coach server. All right, guys, cool stuff. So sorry about that. I just wanted to do the low latency thing because I had you guys super delayed, and I can't really talk to you guys if I'm super delayed. And tell Andy he can come in too. He's welcome to come in. Just give him the assistant role for a little bit in the meantime. The season 6 assistant role. What's up, Central? How you doing, bro? Oh snap! I mean cookies, crackers, and I'm actually really tired. Like it's been a long ass fucking day. I wasn't tired earlier, but I felt drained. I'm probably gonna go to the gym later, which is crazy. Either I'm gonna go to the gym like when I'm done with stream, or we're gonna go early as fuck tomorrow morning. I haven't decided yet. But what's going on, guys? We're gonna do some pick'ems. Even though Kirby did do that little video, and shout out to the cast characters he has in those videos, which is pretty cool. This is just gonna be a breakdown of the matchups themselves, our thought process, my thought process, or what the games are gonna look like, and give my thoughts about the matchup. First one you can see on screen now. First of all, I'm super duper excited. Season 1, baby. Or season 6, week 1. Season 6, week 1. It's exciting. Who'd have thought? Not me. Man. First season of Pokemon Home's release. It's pretty intense. Pretty intense. And give it like a couple seconds to let people kind of roll in a little bit. And then we'll go from there. What do we got here? Perfect. Okay. All right, guys. Without further ado, let's just hop on into it. So, as people trickle in, we'll just move from there. So here's week 1. We have the Columbus Cobalions, and we have the Graveyard, coached by J Bear and T-Row Price. So this is the Battle of the Champions. This is pretty intense. So I'm actually gonna figure out. I don't know how we can do polls and shit, but that would be gas. But I'm not too entirely sure how to do all that fun stuff on this shit. So we'll figure that out kind of as we go. Your activity. Fucking knows. All right, we'll have that for next time. Okay, matchup. T-Row's team, he's got Garchomp, he's got the Meowscarada, he's got Quackleval, Keys, Espathra, who is the Terra Flying, the Terra Fairy in the fighting. We have Rotom Heats, Mesprit, who is a Snipe, which is unfortunate. We have Ursaring, Muck, Alola, the Drifblim, and the greatest of all time, the Crab. The fucking Crab. Against Javer's team was just fucking broken, by the way. He's got Tornadus, he's got Bundle, he's got Scizor, he's got Zarude, he's got Enamorus T, he's got the Sandy Shocks, we've got Gallade, we have Blissey, which is actually better this gen, which is unfortunate. And because it has Heal Bell this time. When I had it last season, didn't have Heal Bell until I found out after the draft, which sucks. He's got Quillfish, and he has the fucking ghost shit. What's the damn ghost shit's name? I'm not sure to look this up because I keep forgetting this thing's name all the time because I'm so used to Fluttermane. And then all of a sudden Miss Magus becomes like an afterthought. But a couple different things about this team, right? Speed advantage we have with J-Bear. Fastest Mon. He's got as the Iron Bundle. And I honestly don't see how T-Row switches into Iron Bundle. To be completely honest with you. Maybe like an Assault Vest Muck, which is gonna run. It's gonna get chipped down over time. The hazard's actually pretty nice on J-Bear's side as well, because you can see spikes coming pretty easily on the Sandy Shocks. And honestly, I think that his best bet to come in on bundle is gonna be the fucking Ursaring. Like a super Spadef Bear is probably his best line of defense. He's gonna have to force J-Bear to click a ice move, because he can just Terra Water. And honestly, Terra Water, Terra Blast kind of just runs his team, T-Row's team. But like on the opposite side of things, it's like, I don't even know, like how do you stop a set of Quack is also a thing too. Like, yeah, you have a Tornadus, but with Quack, I think that it's just, if the thing gets set up, it's gonna be a huge issue. It's a huge issue. But Bundler is like, I don't even know what he could do. Like Assault Vest Muck, Spadef Bear, like we talked about. Like then on the other side, if we have like, there's no phasing whatsoever. I mean, there's Roar and Ursaring, but the Enamorous T could be really nuts. Also, like low key, Zarude, it's kind of a problem for T-Row as well. But I think that just in general, J-Bear just destroys T-Row with bundle, and then like even then, like, I don't even know how. Like, what is such in on that? I'm trying to think, like off the top of my head, Bear, but then Bear takes up a slot. Then you want to bring, cause like if I'm T-Row, we bring Garchomp, we bring Meow, we bring Quack, we bring Espathra. Keys is nice to set up screens here, for sure. And then one of either Bear or Muck. But then at that point, you're not bringing Rotom Heat. And then Scizor ends up being a problem. Then Zarude ends up being a problem. And then what do you have for Torn? You know what I mean? Just pretty crazy. Quackleval, also on the opposite side, J-Bear doesn't really have much for. Quackleval is really tough for J-Bear to deal with. Like if you get to set up a Swords Dance, one Aqua Step. So we have Aqua Step plus Close Combat plus SD, maybe Roost. Could be really nice. I don't know. It's gonna be rough. Espathra is also gonna be able to be real nice for him. Yeah. Espathra cooks his team. Oh my god. Wait. wait, the more I look at it, like, how does Jayber stop Quack? Like, here's the thing, right? Who's gonna get the offense off first? Who's gonna get going from off rip? Quack can get out of hand real fast. Yeah, I definitely can. Anyone else is stream lagging? Is stream lagging? I hope not. It shouldn't be. If it is, guys, let me know, because I will change the latency as well. Look at that. There's the chat. That's kind of nice. Perfect. Oop. If it ends up being a little bit choppy, guys, please let me know. But overall, I think Jayber kind of has this matchup. I just think that bundle off rip is going to be a little overwhelming. Just boots. Just honestly, boots, flip turn, Terra Blast water plus freeze dry, flip turn. This thing's just too much for T-Row, honestly, to handle. Like, in defense, T-Row, if he can get like screens up with Quack, like we're talking about before, I don't know. I just don't see how he wins this matchup, but that'll be definitely interesting. I'm definitely gonna think that Jayber takes this one. I know that in the server it was like an overwhelming vote, something like super obnoxious. I think that was just like a clean sweep vote wise for Jayber. I'm actually gonna look right now. Pick'ems. So in the Discord server, we have, scroll down, Cobalions in the Graveyard. 38 votes for the Graveyard and then 9 votes for the Cobalions. Wishful thinking, but honestly, I'd agree. I'd give it like 7 out of 10 for Jayber, 3 out of 10 for T-Row. But since we got to stare at this matchup a little bit longer, let's just move on to the next one. So the next matchup that we have is the Olympic Flygon. We have Keegan taking on the New York Marauders, aka Drewby. Drewby's got Palafin. Next matchup. Drewby's team, he's got Palafin, he's got the Hisuian Lilligant, he's got Iron fucking Moth, which is really fucking good with Terra. The Mungus is gonna be tough. He's got Garganical, he's got Galarian Slowbro, the Mousehold, Dragonite, fucking Frostlass actually looks kind of nice this matchup too. There's the Tree Arboliva, and then he brought I just love the fact that Berserker's here. Berserker's just trying his absolute best. Not a real good steel type, but Berserker's here, so I love the fact that it's on a fucking team. Keegan's team, honestly, in my personal opinion, is going to be the best team in the entire league. It's so fucking good, and it's so terrifying. I don't even know if he's on my schedule, but I do not want to play Keegan. Keegan's matchup against Drewby, against fucking any coach, is going to be crazy. He's got a Dragapult, he's got a Volcarona that could tear into Fire or Fairy. He has the Iron Hands, he has the Diancie, he has the Vaporeon, he's got fucking Jugulus, big Jugulus, Sleepy Boy, Uxie. Now I had a train of thought just now and it just escaped my head. Anyway, Low Kicks Cryogonal, which is goated. He has the Sandcastle, Palisand, and then the Cantonian Tauros. Like, a couple different things off rip that I'm really noticing is that Vaporeon is kind of not the best defense against Palafin. Setup Palafin could be really nice. Something with like a substitute bulk up shenanigans pushes straight through the Vaporeon, even though it does have Water Absorb. For sure, knowing that I had Palafin not last season, but the season before that, I was actually able to set up pretty easily on a Vaporeon. So that's going to be pretty nice. Dragapult, honestly, runs rampant here. Like, yeah, he has the Garganical that's going to be a resist to it, but his normal type is the mouse. His normal type is mouse. So that's going to be really nice. You can just bring Specs, and I can probably bet you, I'm going to pull up a calc real quick. I would bet money that like Specs Pult does like at least 35 to 40% to our Garganical. Like, I legit would not be surprised. I'm actually going to pull it up right now. Let's remove the sets. So we're playing a level 100, right? So Dragapult. So a Specs Pult to a Garganacci. Let's just give him the fucking Stealth Rock set. So a Shadow Ball does 23% to Garganical with like 116 EVs and Spadef and max HP. Like, that's pretty solid chip. Even if it isn't Specs, you get Specs then, and then you turn out. That simple. on the opposite side, like aside from Dragon, Volcarona. This is the mod battle. Volcarona, I don't like that Pokemon, but honestly, in this matchup, it looks really, really freaking good. Really, really freaking good. I think that Terra Fairy kind of goes nuts, honestly. Terra Fairy plus Fiery Dance is going to cover the vast majority of this team, actually the entire team, if it looks at it. Aside from like a, yeah, no, it cooks. It straight up cooks. The more that I think about it, a Quiver Dance, and then we have Terra Fairy, Terra Blast plus Fiery Dance would be really nice. Maybe something like Roost for some longevity. That'd be kind of crazy. But what's up, Gentleman Thomas? What's up, guys? So what is that? That was weird. My computer just like bugged out. That was crazy. But yes. So honestly, Keegan has his way with Drewby. It's gonna be kind of tough. I know that Drewby's been doing really, really well. He's played really well in the PPL. He just finished beating Joey. There were some hacks involved for sure in that game, but I was watching that game. I watched both sides actually. I think I watched Joey's first, and then I watched Drew's after. Drew's been making some solid plays. He's been really thinking through his thought process. Makes a lot of sense. So he hasn't really missed a beat whatsoever since taking that big old break since Gen 7. You can tell that the doubles matchups that he's been playing on stream has really come into play and translated really, really well, like in singles. So I think that he's gonna be able to hold his own pretty well. But just looking at the matchup, honestly, like I said, Volcarona plus Dragapult really runs through Drewby's team. I'm interested to see if Drewby can get the Hisuian Lilligant set up, because I feel like Hisuian Lilligant actually does really, really well. Victory Dance plus like Grass Move and Fighting coverage is actually really cool. The Jugulus, does the fucking thing get coverage for a Jug? Because if that's the case, it'll be alright. I think it gets close combat, which is ends up being neutral. But Hisuian Lilligant looks kind of fire, which is really cool. Drew went ham in that game. He did. He really, really did. Like I said, there were some hacks. There's a lot of misses on Joey's part, but for the most part, it was kind of one-sided. It gets Ice Spinner. Yeah. Oh, does it really? That's kind of nuts. That one's fucking strong. I would like to see Berserker make an appearance, because if not, like, it's gonna be kind of rough. Like, what is his defensive backbone? The Slowbro? Slowbro just gets pushed past by Dragapult. Dragonite with extreme speed looks kind of nice here because of the lack of ghost typing on Keegan's side. So if a D-Dance Dragonite could be kind of cool, honestly. D-Dance plus like Earthquake and extreme speed looks kind of nice. Dragapult exists obviously, but being able to push past with like Dragon Claw would be kind of nice. Even a bulky Dragonite looks pretty good here, honestly. A bulky Dragonite with like Roost, being able to chew hits from things like the Iron Hands, or anything like the even though it's Tinted Lens boosted, the low kicks actually is not gonna do too much damage to the Dragonite. Bro should not show his face ever. I agree. If I were to guess the 6 mons that Drewby brings, he probably brings Palafin, Iron Moth, the Garganical for his only line of defense against the Dragapult. I would say Dragonite, 5th mon being the Frostlass, because of the lack of removal from Keegan's side would be really nice. Spike Stack looks really solid here. I love Cragganol a lot, but having it be the lone spinner is actually kind of unfortunate. It'd be cool if they gave Defog to Jukilus, but they didn't, obviously. So being able to set up spikes early game and just chip things down on switching would be really, really cool. Mousehold, I know for a fact that he actually dropped, I believe, if I remember correctly. So Mousehold actually is gonna be his one and only matchup. So I wouldn't be surprised if he tries to get some mileage out of it. And then Keegan on his side, like, he has to bring Dragapult. It literally cooks him. And then we have Volcarona, Iron Hands, like, can come in, Diancie can come, Vaporeon probably, that's 5. And the 6 mon I probably would have to give to either Jug or Tauros, to be honest. Like, bulky Tauros is really, really nice. Bulky Spadef Tauros to outspeed the vast majority of his squad to be able to get some damage plus Intimidate actually is really nice this matchup. So honestly, like, in my personal opinion, I think that Keegan obviously wins this game. I tried my best to keep as spoiler free as possible, like full transparency, like I have access to the fucking stats and stuff, but I actually don't remember the outcome of this game, so I can authentically say that I would like to get behind Keegan just merely because of matchup, but I do know that Drewby's been playing really, really well. So I will say that I think that the matchup is in Keegan's favor. So I'd give it like a 65% towards Keegan and then 35% towards Drewby. Just mere because I think that he's going to play really, really well. And honestly, like I said, no Dragapult answer whatsoever, which is quite unfortunate. So we'll see how Drewby fares. All right, so next matchup, we have the Montreal Ice Skews, and we have Amel, and then we have Bepsis and the Helsinki Hydreigans. This is going to be probably one of the best matchups, I think, this weekend. Like, if you see these two juggernauts, like, this is crazy. This is a really good matchup. Amel is such a good player. Literally stomps everyone on the showdown scene, and Vepsis coming back to Wi-Fi is huge for the space. Vepsis is such a good player, was debatably one of the best players in Gen 8, so the fact to see him back in Gen 9 is really, really cool. And he has an Urshifu. I don't know if I remember if Vepsis I want to say he has. I think he has drafted Urshifu multiple times. But you know, Urshifu got nerfed by 5 base power on that on the Wicked Blow. But nonetheless, it's still fucking Wicked Blow. Plus Swords Dance that I gave it this gen is kind of nuts. And honestly, Amel doesn't really have a switch in, like, at all. His fairy type is Scream Tail. So honestly, I think that if Amel isn't careful, Urshifu can cook like off rip, which is unfortunate. So if I were to like look off rip, like honestly, like I said, like I just said, Urshifu is big. I can see Gren going kind of crazy because Gren outspeeds the entirety of the team outside of the horse, and there's some pretty solid switch-ins here, right? Actually, no, there isn't. Like, what do you switch into fucking horse? You have a Wigglytuff, which is okay, right? You're immune to Shadow Ball, but what else do you have? Darkrai base, also base, yeah, dude. Yeah, Darkrai, did Darkrai help? Who did Darkrai help? Did he help T-Row? I think he helped T-Row. But yeah, like I was saying, the horse is going to ball this game because all Vepsis has is the Wigglytuff. Like, he has to bring it for sure to avoid any kind of spec shenanigans. But for the most part, like, even setup horse, like Calm Mind horse could be kind of nasty. The fact that the Galarian Moltres can be a steel type in this matchup is actually kind of nice. It's gonna be kind of tough to break. I do see the Volcanion also doing really, really well this matchup because his only resist is do not like being burnt, like the Chestnut that gets smoked by a flamethrower. And then if the Azu comes in, it doesn't want to get burnt. So not really having much of a defense line for Volcanion is actually kind of nice for Amel as well. And then also there's no switch-ins whatsoever to Galarian Moltres. Like, if you look at Vepsis' team, it's actually kind of crazy. The Goldango can only switch in so many times, and I believe that it still retains Stomping Tantrum, if I remember right. Let's see. I'm actually curious. If the Zapdos, let's go Netdex. And Paldea Dex Draft. Let's add them on. We have Zapdos. Did it retain Stomping Tantrum? It did. So it's got coverage for it. So Zapdos is kind of nuts for him against Vepsis, for sure. Now, if I were to look at matchup in regards to who has the upper hand, I think that actually Amel does, for sure. But I do think that the play from Vepsis is going to really keep him into the matchup, though. I can see Horse coming. I can see Zapdos coming for sure. Volcanion on that 3rd spot. 4th slot has to for sure be the Ting Lu. And then I could see the Cyclizar coming for support. And then the Galarian Moltres for sure. Galarian Moltres in this matchup probably has to be Poison. If I were to guess, I think Poison Molt is actually kind of gross here. The Dragology still has access to Toxic, so being able to set up in front of that Pokemon is actually kind of nasty. Like a Restock variant is also really, really cool, just to come in and soak hits and just get U-turns off, or just spam Hurricanes here, or just Fiery Wraths, because Fiery Wraths, the only resistance that he really, really, truly has is like the Urshifu that doesn't really want to come in the first place, and then the Azumarill, which is kind of nice. So the Molt is actually going to be kind of tough to deal with because the hazard side on Vepsis is decent, right? We have Stealth Rock on the Donphan. We have Spikes and Toxic Spikes on the Greninja. And then Spikes on the Chestnut, which is pretty cool. And then Wigglytuff obviously gets the Stealth Rocks, which is a big thing. But the phasing is also kind of not good on Vepsis' side. So just a setup molt is actually kind of nasty for him to deal with. Isn't dark coverage for gold. Dark move coverage for gold, for sure. That's what I was saying, is that the dark move coverage that can hit Goldango, because it's going to be more reliable than having to spam Hurricanes or Air Slashes. And plus, if it's determined early that the Gmolt doesn't have any kind of flying coverage, then for sure the Urshifu can switch in. But for the most part, I think that's going to be treading softly, especially because it doesn't have reliable recovery and it's going to get chipped down kind of quick. And Vepsis is going to want to get Urshifu in as much as possible and as often as possible to just spam Wicked Blow. Because like I said, on the other side, there's not real much switch-ins from Amel's side. Like look at Amel's team and then look at Urshifu. Like Wicked Blow plus close combat / U-turn kind of cooks him. Like kind of cooks him, which is kind of intense. Now, based off matchup, off rip, I think I have to give it to Amel, honestly. But this is probably the game of the week for me. I'm for sure gonna be watching this one first. Just because these two guys are so good. Like both of them are just incredible players. And just because Amel may have the matchup, in my personal opinion, just a little bit more, I do think that Vepsis can't be counted out. So I would give this to Amel. I'll probably give it like a 55-45. Like a 55% to Amel and then a 45 to Vepsis, honestly. Predictions that the 6 mons that they would bring, like I said, Amel probably brings Horse, Tinglu, Zapdos, Volcanion, the Galarian Moltres, and then Cyclizar is my 6 mon. I think they that the Skews have to bring. And then Vepsis side, I see Urshifu, I see Goldango, I see the Greninja, the Thundurus for sure. I can see the Donphan coming just for a physical presence. And then the 6th slot, I couldn't give it to Wigglytuff, but it'd be really tough to not bring it, especially against a Horse. But it would be like a honorable mention between Horse and Azumarill, honestly. But like I said, I think I give the edge to Amel here a little bit. So the next matchup we have is Owen Ojo Binding against Galvanate. So Galvanate hasn't been in the scene for a hot minute. He hasn't played Mons since Gen 7. I think that the last league I think I saw him in was in APA main, which was not season 5 but season 4. So it has been a hot minute. I think he had like, if I remember right, he had like Sandaconda, like GMAX Sandaconda with like Dracovish and Dracozolt shenanigans. That was a long time ago. So it's been a hot minute since he's played draft, and he hasn't really been doing much content. So I'm super glad to have him back. But he could have some struggles for sure. I think that there's gonna be some rust that he needs to kind of kink off a little bit, and this is not a good matchup for him to try. Like, not trying to pump up Owen's feathers here, but he's probably one of the better players in the league, and to put Nate up in the front it's gonna be interesting. I'm curious to see if Nate's gonna be able to keep his level head and play to the point where like he can minimize his mistakes. Mostly, I feel like if he can minimize his mistakes, I feel like he'll be okay. But looking at matchup, first thing that comes to mind, Nate has 0 switches to an Amorous. Like if you look at his team, his dark type is steel type is part dark, and honestly, a Specs and Amorous kind of goes buck stupid nasty here. Like if he can get an Amorous in, Owen can get an Amorous in just once and outspeeding literally everything outside of Tornadus and the Noivern and the Electrode, which is more than 90% of his team, is going to be kind of scary, especially if he Terra Fairies. Like he literally just clicks buttons, which is nuts. And then nonetheless, you still have to deal with Chen Pao, which is kind of crazy. Rain needs to be established early, because on the opposite side of the spectrum, like the only water resist that Owen really truly has is the Gudra and then the fish, the Alamomola, right? So Alamomola is going to be like really tough to keep healthy. Yes, he has a regenerator for sure, but like in regards to like having to switch in multiple times on like offensive water threats, things like a banded Gnaw Ashley is kind of nice. Banded Nago is kind of crazy. If he wants to go special to try to catch the Alamomola off guard, Owen still has Goodra. So Gudra is kind of annoying for him to deal with. He can go mixed on the fucking fish. If fish is mixed, that would be really, really nice. I think that does the Basky Legion get ice coverage? I'm really curious. Let's see. Basky Legion. And then this is the female version. So the female is actually a little bit more on the special side, which is unfortunate, but we want physical ice coverage. I know obviously it gets Ice Beam, but it gets Ice Fang, which that kind of sucks. But I'm having a tough time trying to justify his like switching to Enamorous aside from the, because like look at his team, his resist, or so his steel type is part dark, and then he's got the what the fuck is the Quillfish's evolution called? So for the most part, basically what I'm trying to get at, there's no switching to Enamorous whatsoever, basically, because I mean, if you go on the offensive from the beginning, I'm trying to justify a way where Nate can win this game. I'm trying to figure out a way for him as I'm sitting here looking at this matchup, but that's actually kind of tough. Like there's too much offense on Owen's side, to be completely honest with you. Cause like Overcool, thank you, Professor Shekel. I appreciate it. Yeah, I can't see it. Like if he tries to like if you brought a Specs Electrode, then Gudra just walls. Yeah, this is tough. I honestly have to give the matchup to Owen. Like looking off matchup, it has to be like a good like 90%. I hate to say it, but like a 90-10, simply because the offense is just too much for Nate's team. Rain is cool, but only in my personal opinion if you don't invest too much into it. If it's a Rain mode, that's pretty baller, but if you have dedicated like 80% of your team to Rain, that's kind of tough. So for sure I have to give it to Owen here. Yeah, I appreciate it. Central no, stop. Central, I appreciate it. Stop, you didn't have to do that. Let's go first of Chrome of the newly set up phone. Gotta be that D-Ray stream. Well, I appreciate it, Central. Thank you so much. That means the world. That's big. You didn't have to do that. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. But next matchup, we have Dr. Slacking versus J. Ricky. First thing off rip, Bear. Like Bear. Bear kind of goes crazy. Honestly, Bear goes crazy, but it's cool to have Dr. Slacking back. That's pretty big. Having Matt in the space again and ready to play Mons is really, really healthy. And for the meta, it's nice to see his happy face. And then Jay Ricky coming up to main is actually really, really awesome. I'm really, really excited to see him and how well he does with these coaches. He did really well in D-League. I think that he was second place or second seed last season in D-League. So to see him come up and test his skills against the talent that's in main is going to be really cool to see. But nonetheless, on matchup, like I said, Bear goes kind of crazy. Honestly, just Flame War Facade plus Earthquake really does J Ricky's team in. Also, side note, Staraptor also kind of goes butt crazy. Looking at matchup, yeah, Staraptor really just breaks his team. Honestly, if a banded Staraptor comes in leads, J Ricky's gonna lose a bunch of resources to it. Like Double Edge plus Close Combat and Brave Bird just for some coverage is really, really nice. Even some quick attack shenanigans could be kind of nice. I'm really interested to see how Hoopa Unbound does. Hoopa Unbound being Terra Dark is really, really good here, because the only resist that I really would count as is the Bull, and then Paldea Bull doesn't have any source of reliable recovery, so like a banded Hoopa is kind of obnoxious. I believe that the Hoopa also gets fighting coverage as well, so it can come in on the Tyranitar pretty easily for sure. Let's see. It does Drain Punch. Oh my god. Yeah, Hoopa's crazy. It gets Drain Punch. It's got Power Punch, Brick Break. It's pretty nuts. Now, I also on JRicky's side, like on the flip side of the coin, like what's the good answer to a really good like a really good Valiant? Like Valiant comes in late game and really cleans up this game. The Fortress could semi-suffice, but for the most part, honestly, Dr. Slacking really does get worked by a Life Orb Valiant if he wants to go. He doesn't even need to boost his speed. He already outspeeds the entire team. So he can just come in and be Life Orb and be mixed, and that would go absolutely crazy. Absolutely crazy. Like dual stabs plus honestly, dual stabs is all you really need in this matchup. Maybe some coverage for the Gengar would be really, really nice. Aside from that, everything else just gets like cooked by Fairy plus fighting. That's really, really nice. Now I say that with a grain of salt because it's going to be tough to get Valiant in. Obviously, it's going to be more of a late game sweeper. And then Gengar off rip really starts to tear apart JRicky's team. But the Terra on the Hydreigon looks kind of nice here, like Terra Poison. But if Terra Poison, then all of a sudden you're weak to headlong rushes from the bear, which is really crazy. It does just literally just tech on Thunderbolt. Just tech on Thunderbolt for the Slow King, and that's all you really need. It could, like, even if it's vested, it still takes a big old chunk, and then it's forced to take that chip and you just literally switch out. There's so many switches to the Slow King, it's crazy. Like it's Slow King allows in, it just welcomes in the Hydreigon. Like opens the front door for it. I could even see, like, did Hydreigon retain Dragon Dance? Hydra. Like I could see a really cool, yeah, it did. So retain Dragon Dance. So Dragon Dance Hydra could be kind of nice with like Earthquake Crunch and fire coverage for the Fortress. I will say some people may not like this, but Mimikyu also does really well late game. It really truly does. Like, maybe I'm just a Mimikyu believer, but for the most part, Mimikyu is real nuts. If we can get chip damage on the Clodsire and the Heatran. But like looking at matchup, I do think that Dr. Slacking kind of has the upper hand, just because bear switch-ins are to a bare minimum, no pun intended. But this game, honestly, is probably my second favorite game of the week, to be completely honest with you guys, because this can honestly go either way. Like if I were to guess the 6 mons that JRicky brings, he can bring Valiant, brings Heatran, brings Hydra, probably has to bring the Tauros. I guess he's Slowbro coming, and then most likely the Kilowattrel. The Kilowattrel because could put a little bit more pressure on the Slow King, which is kind of forced to come here. And honestly, yeah. Well, Kilowattrel honestly can be swapped out for probably Rillaboom. Rillaboom actually looks really nice in this matchup as well. Unironically, not a bad Mimikyu matchup. That's what I'm saying. But probably not worth forcing it into the 6. But here's the thing though, like Dr. Slacking doesn't need very much because Bear is so overwhelming. He brings Bear, he brings Slow King, he brings Gengar. He probably has to bring the Fortress and then the Hoopa. And I could definitely see Mimikyu coming in that 6 slot. It's a good matchup for Mimikyu, this matchup. Just dual stab, Swords Dance, Life Orb. Looks really, really nice. And if he wants to tech on things like Drain Punch, he could do that. But for the most part, just dual stabs plus Shadow Sneak for priority to be able to hit the Valiant would be really nice. But Unaware Clodsire obviously is the thing. So Clodsire does need to get chipped down, but it does get a lot of pressure on by Bear. And he does need to chip down the Heatran because Flame Body shenanigans for sure. So I honestly would give this to Slacking though. I'd give it like a 60-40. Honestly, 60% Slacking, 40% JRicky, if I were to give. Mimikyu is one of 2 things stopping a Val 6-0. SD auto wins. Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm saying. Is that even if it isn't going to be winning the game for Dr. Slacking, it keeps Valiant from winning the game, which is really good. So I'd give it, like I said, 60-40 on JRicky's part. So next matchup we have is D-Double and Gray V. Now, the Cinderella story, man. Dell, I think he actually won the last game of his regular season, his previous season in season 5. So I would like to see him get off on the right foot and kind of start off strong against Jack. That would be kind of solid. Jack's coming back. Jack is Mr. Consistency. No matter what league he's in, he's always playing really, really well. No matter the team is kind of funky in my personal opinion. Like he's got an Avalug, like a history in Avalug that isn't Terra, so it's still an Avalug. And then Dell has a really good squad. Like I had Chi-Yu last season, and Chi-Yu literally is just button clicker. I love me some button clickers, and Chi-Yu does really, really well here. His one switch in is Toxapex, which can be overwhelmed by the combination of Ruination plus Dark Pulse move. And it also gets Psychic. So Psychic just literally pushes straight through Toxapex. And aside from that, Psychic also pushes through the Paldean Tauros. He can also bring in the Avalug, but being part Ice type with the Raw typing isn't going to be giving it much favors. So honestly, Jack has -1 switch-ins to Chi-Yu, which is really cool. Speed matchup is in favor of Jack, but usually you want to see Roaring Moon, especially with a Terra Captain. Slots typings of Steel and Flying is going to be more of a setup variant, unless it's like a pivot momentum kind of Pokemon. So for the most part, Dell having that speed advantage with Azelf is going to be really, really cool. For sure. Dell's team is very strong. It really, really is. I think that Dell's team is super, super good. The orange team is going to go kind of nuts here, because the overwhelming breaking power of Chi-Yu is really going to break apart Jack's team, and then Azelf can really hold that coverage to just really run away with it. Things like, I don't think it gets Ice Beam, but it does get Ice Punch. I remember to be able to hit that Lando, but honestly being 4 times super effective, it'll probably just either Oko or does at least 70% to a Lando, which is kind of nice. But that is Sheer Force Lando. You know, Sheer Force Lando is still Sheer Force Lando. Luckily enough, there's a lot of switch-ins on Dell's side. There's Levitate Rotom, there's Flying type Lando, Levitate Azel, Flying type Salamence, and then there is a lot of switch-ins. It really truly is. So there can't be any kind of choice shenanigans. So I can see Life Orb coming for sure. Now I fail to see a way that Jack stops a good setup DD Salamence. Like DD Salamence plus Moxie looks kind of gross, honestly, this matchup. Wait, the first 5 Mons are all orange and the Florgus is the orange form. Yeah, they are. They're all orange. Team orange team. So like I was saying, that a good Dragon Dance Salamence looks kind of gross this matchup. Like really, really gross. So if I were to guess 6 Mons, right? Dell brings Fish. He brings Lando. He brings Rotom. I can see Salamence coming, I can see Azelf coming, and then as a good defensive backbone, I do see more of a bulky Swalot, actually. A bulky Swalot, actually, no, not with Mew and Hatterene. No, I take that back, Honestly, his defensive backbone probably is going to have to come from Copper, but Copper is also in big danger of the Cinderace, obviously. But having a pretty bulky Steel type in Copper Jaw with the likes of Hatterene plus Mew seems kind of nice, for sure. Now the 6 Mons I think that Gravy brings, I think he has to bring Lando, because it's a Lando, you know? He brings the Roaring Moon, he brings Cinderace, he probably has to bring one of Toxapex or Hatterene, and probably the Bull, if I were to guess, and almost has to bring Serena as a semi-switch into Lando. Which will be really nice if he's Terra Water, but he's probably gonna be Terra Flying if anything in this matchup. I do see Terra Water coming as well, because Cinderace also cooks. Cinderace does really, really good this game. It outspeeds Dell's entire team. It's able to just click Pyro Ball plus honestly just U-turn. The core chain shenanigans is actually kind of nice, because I do see a lot of hazards options on Dell's side. But I like Dell's matchup for sure. I think Dell has a better matchup than Jack does. Jack has to be a little bit more creative outside of the raw breaking power of Cinderace and Lando. But finding a switch into Chi-Yu is going to be really rough for Jack, to be completely honest with you. So I think that's going to be a big thing. So I do give it to Dell, but I give it like a 55-45. 55% Dell, 45% Gravy. Just merely because you can't count Jack out. So I can't fully give it to Dell, but slightly because of matchup. And I do want to see Dell do really, really well. And having him start off 1-0 would be huge for his confidence just because of how much he's been through last season. So I'm really, really excited to see how this one goes. So next up we have okay. I forgot about this one. I honestly forgot about this matchup, to be completely honest with you guys. John and Mountay. Not to fluff up John's feathers, but John's a really good player. And Mountay is Mountay, right? Mountay was debatably one of, if not the best player in Gen 8. I think he was actually voted as the best Wi-Fi player of Generation 8 by, I don't remember if it was his peers or if it was the council. I believe that there was a council that was in place and there was a voting process on who would be the best player. And I think that Mountay did win that one. So, that's going to be kind of nice. Just raw skill wise, this could probably be like matchup of the week in regards to like how good both these players actually are. So looking at matchup, right? Reggie Lucky. Reggie Lucky is kind of nuts. John really has a tough time beating Reggie Lucky. Terra Ice looks kind of gross here. He could also be Terra Grass if he wants to help him resist things like the Walking Wake, things like well, if he's Terra Grass against the Sun team, that's actually kind of bad. Actually, you know what? I wouldn't be mindful if you brought the Terra Ice and you just Thunderbolts the Bronzong. That'd be kind of crazy. Ape runs the Dark move for Zoro. Oh yeah, that's true. So Ape also is kind of crazy here, but Ape has a harder time setting up this matchup. This is a mirror matchup from week 1 of last season with me and Amel, because Amel had the Zoroark and I had the Ape. But honestly, like a really well played Walking Wake actually does kind of go crazy this matchup as well. He doesn't really have very many switch-ins from the dual stabs of Dragon and Water. Like if you're looking at matchup, it's kind of nuts. The speed variant, like if he tries to boost speed, I think this game would be kind of nice. Does the Walking Wake catch Reggie Lucky? I would assume not. Like a max speed of Lucky, like if he's special. Wake. So in the sun, the entire my vision is getting blurry. So timid in the sun, it does not catch a Lucky. That's crazy, dude. Really? That's nuts, man. A photosynthesis sun boosted Walking Wake does not catch a max speed of Lucky. That's crazy. That blows my mind. That's so fucking fast. That's bananas, dude. Literally just has to run enough speed EVs. Doesn't even need them all. It just has to run. Can it run modest? So it can't run modest. That's a thing. But for the most, that's crazy. That blows my mind. The fact that a Lucky can still catch Wake at base 109. Photosynthesis boosted. That's kind of crazy. That's kind of nuts. But also, like on the reverse side, even though he is playing Sun, the Urshifu is kind of gross. Them on his ass. Brambleghast definitely gets the 2 KO. Yeah, Brambleghast is kind of nuts here. Brambleghast, not. I mean, it's not good. It's not good in this matchup. I don't think so. Ironically enough, Weavile actually kind of goes crazy because the steel type is Tinkaton. Weavile with ice coverage plus like Icicle Crash. And he could run Night Slash if he doesn't even need Night Slash. Just ice coverage in general. And it could run the Psycho Cut for Urshifu. And Dark Move, any kind of Dark Move for the Zoroark. So Night Slash, Ice Move, Psychic Move, Swords Dance, even Ice Shard, if for whatever reason the Reggie Lucky ends up being Terra Grass. Could be kind of crazy. Aleki can outspeed Booster Valiant. That's crazy. Wonder if it can outspeed Booster Roaring Moon. Tinkaton is good into Weavile. It's good, but it takes chip damage, which is not something that it wants to do. And being able to just click like things like Brick Break would be kind of nice. A max Fizz-Def Tink is a problem for Weavile, but that's his only line of defense, honestly. And then Tinkaton can easily get overwhelmed. And with a good prediction that John can just literally just switch out. And then Tinkaton will allow Torkoal in almost every single time. So the sequence of events would be like if you can get any kind of pivot momentum with things like the Volt Switch or U-turn Zapdos, and Volt Switch or U-turn on the incoming even then, like Zapdos being able to come in and like, what's the switch into Zapdos? Looking at his matchup, the Regidrago. Yeah, Regidrago or like a Spadef Muck or a Spadef. Obviously Umbreon. Umbreon's kind of nice, but then if you just U-turn on the Umbreon and then get in a Swords Dance Weavile, which wouldn't be that great with Foul Play, to be honest. You're right. Tinkaton does wall Weavile for the most part, but bringing in Tinkaton very often and then just allowing Torkoal in to set up the sun is kind of nuts. Umbreon is an Umbreon, right? I have seen Mountay use Umbreon pretty well, pretty consistently, so I don't want to count him out in that sense. So now, with all that being said, like the 6 mons I think that Mountay brings, obviously is the Alecki. He probably brings Urshifu. He probably brings some kind of shenanigans with Zoroark, right? Tinkaton has to come. We've already established that. I could see the Braviary coming as well, and 6 mon could possibly be either the Arcanine to take advantage of the sun and have Flash Fire, which would be really cool on his part. Even just Intimidate, but mostly Flash Fire looks really, really nice here. I can see him trapping with Dougie too. Trapping the Torkoal and forcing Shed Shell. Clicking Earthquake and doing big damage on the Torkoal will be really... It's not going to Oko Torkoal, but it's going to get pretty damn close. Being able to trap things like the Slowking, the Glaring Slowking is actually really cool as well. So it's forcing... Mountay is forcing Shed Shell on one of those 2 mons, and if Torkoal has to run Shed Shell, then he's not Heat Rock. And if he's not Heat Rock, then the sun on John's side is going to be a little bit easier to deal with. And then if the Glaring Slowking is something other than like, it could be running Boots, it could run Assault Vest if it wants to. If Assault Vest is going to be the switch into Regieleki, it's going to get trapped by Dougie. Which it's going to take too much damage from Earthquake before it can get a Chilly Reception off. So that can be definitely a thing. I do slightly, as much as I love John, I do slightly give the edge to Mountay here. Merely because I failed to see a switch into Regieleki. Honestly. I failed to see a switch into Regieleki. Quagsire gets blown up by Terra Grass. And aside from that, Electric Coverage gets his entire other team because Brambleghast is not a real defensive wall. Brambleghast is like cheesy for sure. It can set up some spikes, maybe Rapid Spin some stuff, but it Terra Grass Alecki looks kind of gross in this matchup just because it's kind of tougher for John to deal with in the late game. And then on John's side, I can see Ape coming, I can see Wake coming, Torkoal obviously to facilitate Wake. Zapdos I feel like needs to come. If he wants to help kind of mitigate the damage on Regieleki, I can see the Grimmsnarl coming for sure. And then I do see Weavile doing really, really well. I really truly do. I mocked Mountay and his team is so annoying to prep for. It is. It seems gimmicky like on first glance, but if you really look at it and you break it down, like it's really, really cool. It is cheesy to have the Zoroark with the double Regi, but being able to disguise the Zoroark or something like the Urshifu to force water types to switch in, and then you can literally U-turn on them and then bring in Regieleki, or you can just blow them up in general with like Specs Hyper Voice. It's kind of nuts. Or just disguise it as Regieleki and force whatever it's going to be the switch in, and then you can kind of take advantage of it from there. If you do have something that is going to be like Dougie is going to forcing trapping things, is really nice as well. Dougie being the only ground type is kind of unfortunate, but in regards to the function and the way that this team is built, it's okay. But I don't really like the fact that his only immunity to Zapdos is the Dougie, if that makes sense. Like he does have Regidrago, don't get me wrong, and maybe like an Assault Vest Muck or just a Spadef Muck is really, really nice. But Zapdos also goes really crazy in this matchup. Like Zapdos outspeeds is in almost the majority of his team, right? It just needs to run enough speed for Urshifu, and then it just puts in work. It really just puts in work. So I honestly like, I don't want to say 50-50 just to say 50-50. I can see Mountay winning this game. John's been kind of hot though. He really, really has. John's been playing really, really well. He's been a little bit more. He's just been more ready. I feel like John's just more ready for this matchup, if that makes sense. So I think that John ends up losing this game, and Mountay. This is tough. It's tough. Oh man. I first wanted to start off the sentence by saying Mountay is gonna win, but then the more I thought about it, I think that John's gonna end up winning this matchup just because. I mean, I just don't see a way that John stops Regieleki. I really don't. And just for that, I think that I'm just gonna give it to Mountay. 55-45. 55-45 is what I'll say. So the next matchup we have is me against Kyle. I don't want to speak too much about it. I'll just talk about the things that I found scary against Kyle's team. Obviously, Baxcalibur, right? Now, in prepping for this matchup, there's a couple different things that I really needed to. Well, I got cooked by a Hawlucha, right? But the biggest red flag that I had against this team was that Baxcalibur. I put a lot of prep towards the Baxcalibur that really opened me up for Hawlucha, and him being able to set up hazards for free was kind of annoying. But Cleavor came once or twice, and then on the rest of the mocks, I didn't see it again, so we kind of discounted it. So we're preparing for a Baxcalibur, a Hawlucha, Breloom for sure, because Breloom sporing things is still really, really annoying. We're prepping for Goodra, the Skeledirge, and probably the Electros was that last mon that I had there. And then the honorable mention was Gastrodon. Now, him being Terra Electric is kind of gross against my team, just because they can just run Dragon Dance plus Glaive Rush, Terra Electric, plus maybe Ice Shard, which would be kind of crazy for his Ice Stab. But if he wants to get spicy with it, literally just clicking Banded Glaive Rushes is also really overwhelming. But honestly, the biggest threat that I found in this matchup was the Hawlucha. Like I said before, a Unburdened Swords Dance Hawlucha really cooked my team, and I ended up having to delegate 2 Pokemon to not get swept by it. But Kyle's team is interesting because there's no real big top tier threat aside from Baxcalibur. A lot of balance, which is what I know Kyle really, really likes. But just the biggest threats overall is Hawlucha and Baxcalibur. Eel was really, really annoying to deal with. Just like an Assault Vest, Eel was kind of gross, with like pivoting and Drain Punch. The Gastrodon, not too much of an issue for my Thundurus because I could just pack on the Grass Knot, unless you're like Addison, just runs Floatstone on their Gastrodon. But I'm not gonna give any kind of winner here, but obviously that's just my thought process during that game. And that's the whole stream, guys. A little quick rundown of what I thought about the matchup. I'll try to get some more people in here just to make it a little bit more of a conversation kind of thing, instead of breaking things down only on my own, and then get their thought process as well. But I'm just gonna end the stream here, and then we will probably run these streams. I want to say Fridays, but I'll say more of like a Thursday kind of thing. Honestly, I'm off on both days, but I think that Thursday just seems to be a little bit more doable. But keep your eyes out for the matchups. They'll be posted tomorrow, and majority is in the morning. So again, if you guys aren't in the Discord server and you're watching this VOD after the fact, please down in the description below if you can get a link to the Discord server so you can get pinged whenever your favorite coach gets their videos up. That would be great. I really appreciate it. But that's it, guys. That's it for the stream. Stay tuned for tomorrow's matchups. Very excited for it. We're moving to BBR Saturdays. Shout out to Kirby for making a pick'ems VOD or video, I should say. I'm really tired. Video, I'll also link that in the description after the fact, so that'll be there for the VOD. So make sure you guys check that out. But thank you guys for coming out. I really, really appreciate it. Thanks so much, Central, for your donation. You're awesome. Everyone else that came out, there's a lot of good chunk of people. So I appreciate you guys. We'll build these streams up as the season goes on. This is a quick one, kind of on the limb. I decided to do this kind of last minute, so we'll get a little bit more organized in the future. And yeah, guys, peace out. Have a good rest of your